The Inquisition's remit places it above all of the Imperium's institutions, with the exception of the Senatorum Imperialis, the High Lords of Terra themselves. In theory, a single Inquisitor can denounce an entire planetary government, requisition whole armies of the Astra Militarum, and hold the fate of populations in their hands. In practice, however, the reality is far more complicated. For a start, the Inquisition moves in many different ways, according to the judgment and character of its agents. Some are brash and bombastic, others dark and threatening. Some announce their coming so as to strike terror into the hearts of the Emperor's foes, while others move about stealthily, watching from the shadows before striking. An Inquisitor would be foolish indeed to arrive at a world suspected of imminent secession and attempt to arrest the Imperial commander, for they may find the entire population rising in opposition. Therefore, an Inquisitor in such a position has to ensure that there are significant resources at hand to combat an uprising, and to attain them they have to gain the support of other bodies. In practice then, Inquisitors are essentially peers of the Imperium, although many consider themselves answerable only to the High Lords of Terra and the Emperor himself. In reality, there exists a class of high-echelon Imperial servants to which Inquisitors belong, all who wield more or less the same levels of political influence. Such worthies include Imperial Governors, Astra Militarum Generals, Space Marine Chapter Masters, Rogue Traders, Lord Admirals of the Imperial Navy, Adeptus Arbites Judges, and the sector-level representatives of the Administratum. Relations between these various groups are often seething with internecine rivalry and bitterness, and even within one grouping, deadly wars may be fought to gain influence and leverage. Imperial commanders, for example, quite frequently engage in bitter and bloody territorial clashes, and the Inquisition is far from immune to internal political strife. Against such a backdrop of bloody political maneuvering, no one institution has total power over any other, regardless of the words scratched in spidery text upon 10,000-year-old charters. The powers of an Inquisitor are not, in practice, defined by the remit of the holy orders of the Emperor's Inquisition. They are constantly shifting in response to their position within the dark and feudal power structures within the Inquisition, as well as being subject to many outside influences. An Inquisitor that takes action against a powerful heretic, only to find out later that the individual was being sponsored by a rival, may find himself the target of attack. One that declares a world purgatus without the agreement of their peers may find themselves ostracized and unable to call upon the aid of their fellows in times of need. These and a million other factors serve to inhibit the powers Inquisitors can actually wield when operating in the field. Perhaps the most common shared traditions are those steeped in powerful symbolism. In many ways, man is a very simple creature who responds very well to certain images. The Inquisition knows this and is happy to exploit it to suit its own needs. Fire is traditionally associated with the Inquisition and its works. The image of the cleansing flame is a strong one, and acolytes are encouraged to employ it when they have need to strike fear. Wherever there is the white-hot excruciator, a witch pyre, or a promethium-dripping flamer, there too is the Inquisition. Other than the literal interpretation of fire as a weapon, there are other uses for such symbolism. Many Inquisitors consider their role to be that of the cleansing flame, there to burn away the rotting flesh of corruption. Some also hold that they are guardians of the Emperor's light, the holy flame of faith. Those that attend the Black Ships speak of fueling the mystical beacon of the Astronomicon, casting willing souls into the furnace of the Emperor's will. The hammer is also associated with the Inquisition. Many Inquisitors carry gorgeously bedecked warhammers with which to smite their foes. Like the Ecclesiarchy, many of their members regard the hammer as a metaphor for piety, the force by which heresy and corruption are crushed. Warhammers are common gifts for acolytes who have proven themselves especially adept at destroying cultists and heretics. Aside from the flame and the hammer, perhaps the most powerful of the Inquisition's symbols is the seal. Each Inquisitor bears one. This is a small amulet or icon in the shape of a stylized column that is derived from the ancient sigil of Melchador the Sigillite, who founded the Inquisition at the behest of the Emperor during the Horus Heresy. Thought to depict a pillar of strength or rod of control, this seal is their badge of office, and for an Inquisitor to reveal it shows that he is demanding that his authority be respected. An Inquisitor who shows his seal to a planetary governor, for instance, expects to have the planet's resources at his disposal from that moment onwards. The Inquisitorial seal is, in a sense, an Inquisitor's most important item of equipment, and he will never willingly relinquish it. Some seals incorporate circuits and sonic probes that can be used to hack into cogitators and open electronic locks, or double as simple weapons to ensure that the Inquisitor is never unarmed. They can also display the Inquisitorial Rosette, a symbol of the Inquisition incorporating the design of its seal worn on an Inquisitor's clothing or war gear. The rosette can be worn by those in an Inquisitor's employ, and can also be displayed on vehicle, or by the armed forces they use. The rosette signifies that an individual is in the employ of the Inquisition, and is enough to ensure the fearful cooperation of most adepts and citizens who know of its purpose. The rosette, however, is used very sparingly, as most Inquisitors prefer to keep themselves and their acolytes low-key. It is most commonly used when in the company of fellow members of the Inquisition, or when an Inquisitor wishes to strike fear and awe into the common man.